Alright, skip chain. I could just talk about it, but instead I'll just show it. What I have here is two saws. A Dolmar 7900, 79 cc's, like 6.5 horsepower. The other one is a Makita or a Dolmar 460, 45, 46 cc's, about 3 horsepower. Both saws are running a bar that can take a 38058 chain. Both take 72 drive links, so I can run the same chain on both saws. I have bought two chains. On the Makita at the minute is a Oregon EXL, 73 EXL, which is a normal sequence 38058 chain. And this one is an Oregon 73 EXJ. Now the EXJ is exactly the same as the EXL, except it is in a skip sequence. So let's see how many of the myths about this stuff actually hold up in the real world. What I'll do is I'll run the EXL on the small saw, and then we'll swap to the EXJ. If what everyone says about skip chain is correct, it should cut faster with the skip because it's unloading the saw. I will then run both chains on the 7900, and most people believe that skip chain will be slower because there's less cutters. So let's see if this is correct or not, and then I'll talk about when I actually use skip chain. Alright, up first we're going to run the EXL, the normal sequence on the 460. So don't get too worried, this thing actually originally come with a 15-inch 38058 setup on it. I believe a 20-inch was actually an option for them. Not a lot of power, but a lot of torque for a little saw. It's going to be very slow when it cuts through this, but it's not going to hurt anything. Probably only going to do 2 cuts because it is going to take forever. If it cuts all right, maybe I'll do 3. The most surprising thing about this is its balances. These things are very heavy for their size, but it doesn't feel as bad as you'd think. Do that every day. Ah, screw it, I can have it. So we'll swap to the EXJ, the skip, and we'll see if it's faster. Does it unload the saw? Does it make a difference? Okay, now we're back again, this time with the Oregon EXJ. This is the exact same chain, except it is skip sequence. So now instead of having a cutter, a blank strap, and a cutter, we have cutter, 2 blanks, cutter. So 33% less cutters. So the question is, does it unload the saw enough that it cuts faster, or does it change anything at all? Let's find out. Okay, so that was the skip chain. From my point of view, running it doesn't really feel much different. I may be able to apply more feed pressure, but I don't know if that's actually translating to any difference in cut speed. This is sort of a problem with skip chain. It generally requires more feed pressure to do the same job. This wood is also extremely hard. This has been down for quite a while now, so yeah. I don't know how well it went. I wouldn't want to do that to this saw that much, to be honest. If you had to, if it's all you had, whatever, I'd do it. But it's a bit of a struggle for the poor thing. Does get it done though, which is pretty impressive in its own right. All right, we'll move on to the bigger saw and see what happens there. All right, this was the chain that was on the Dolmar. It's a square file Carlton A2LM. So I was just going to give it a run as well, purely because I can. Just curious to see how it goes on this little saw. The depth gauges are probably way too low. As I suspected, the chain is actually just set up for the 7900. It's one of the few sizes that I have that I don't have set for multiple saws. Most of my 063 gauge stuff, because I can run it on like that MS310 or the 660 or whatever, usually shoot for the middle ground so it can be run on whatever saw I'm using. So yeah, that might be a little much for it, but it was worth a run. All right, next up, we're going to run the 7900 with the EXL, the full sequence chain. Then we'll run it with the skip. Most of the theories related to this will say that it will cut faster with the full comp than it will with the skip. Let's see. Whoop. All right, now we're back with the 7900 with the EXJ, the skip sequence chain. Let's see if it's slower or faster or no different or whatever. Kind of pointless having a skip chain in this length, but anyway. Okay, I really don't understand what's just occurred there, but this is much smoother than the EXL. I don't know why a skip chain would be feeling that way. That's kind of unusual to me, but anyway, we'll keep going. Alright, you guys can see times and I can't, but for whatever reason, if I had to pick which one I was going to run on this saw, if I was going to go cut with it right now, I would take that skip chain. That is very unusual compared to even what it felt like on the other saw. That was, for whatever reason, a better combination on here. Which flies in the face of what I was just saying, it was pointless having skip chain of this length. I don't know why. I could sharpen them both and try again, but I really don't want to waste that much time. I've got a heap of other shit I could be doing. But yeah, that's unusual. I'll have to have a look at the cut times. Like I said, you guys know. If it's faster, then yep. If it isn't, I would still probably take that due to the feel. I should say I wouldn't use it if I was cutting predominantly small stuff. Once you're into the larger wood, it wouldn't be a problem. You can have some issues with smaller limbs and stuff falling down in that gap, and I suppose while I'm at it, I should talk about when I actually use skip chain. Majority of the time, I use skip chain for the one reason and one reason only. When I cannot be bothered sharpening that many teeth. Generally, 100 plus drive links is where my crossover. So if I've got a 105 drive link chain, I will usually try and get skip for it because I don't want to sharpen 50 plus cutters. It can be used when chip clearance is an issue. It's not a problem in this wood that I cut because chips don't come out big. This stuff is hard, it comes out small and little flakes. So it's not really an issue. If it's something you do have an issue is maybe you're doing a lot of like noodling, then skip would be a good option for you. Is it a band-aid for putting a bigger bar on a saw? No. Honestly, it's not used for that. That's not what it's for. It could potentially help it, but you can never overcome the friction of running that extra length chain over that extra length bar. You will generally be better off running a smaller bar. If you've got a 3 horsepower saw and it uses 1.5 horsepower of that just to spin the chain around the bar, then yeah, you're going nowhere. You're better off running something smaller that sucks less power out of it so you've got more to cut with. I've run a lot of 36 RSLF, which is a factory skip square that Still makes. I run that on an 18-inch bar and had a fair bit of luck with it. It obviously doesn't self-feed, it takes quite a lot of pressure, but it's quite good in these hardwoods where I've got to add feed pressure anyway to make it cut. So if you try and let it self-feed, it's quite a lot slower than just a regular round file normal sequence chain. If you're in a situation where you're actually working the saw around, it generally cuts quite a bit faster. That's, yeah, the way to do with the way I have them set up. Anyway, so that's enough for skip chain for one day. By all means, if you want to play around with it, go for it. Just be aware that it's not the band-aid fix that everyone says it is.